Welcome to Neurovale, a threshold into unmasked psychology and philosophy. When everyone thinks the same, no one is really thinking. Have you noticed how people no longer question anything deeply? We scroll, agree, repeat, and move on. It's as if the world has trained us to react instead of reflect. Critical thinking used to mean slowing down to understand before forming an opinion. Now, silence feels uncomfortable and speed feels like truth. Social media has turned opinions into personal identities, and disagreeing feels like betrayal. Schools teach students what to think, not how to think. The internet floods us with so much information that our brains stop trying to sort truth from noise. We prefer quick emotions to quiet logic. Being part of the crowd feels safer than standing alone. The result is a generation that confuses confidence with understanding. People no longer wrestle with complexity. They choose whatever side feels good in the moment. Collective stupidity doesn't mean people have become less intelligent. It means they've stopped using their minds independently. Real thinking is uncomfortable, and comfort is what the modern world sells best. So the question is no longer whether people are smart, but whether anyone still has the courage to think for themselves. Let's dive in and explore. Number 1. Thinking feels slow in a world addicted to speed. Everything around us screams for urgency. Notifications pop up every few seconds, videos get shorter, opinions change faster than the weather. We are constantly pushed to keep up, to respond instantly, to never pause. But deep thinking doesn't work like that. It needs space, silence, and patience. It's the quiet process of sitting with an idea until it reveals its truth. Yet in today's world, silence feels almost threatening. People fill every quiet moment with noise, scrolling through endless feeds just to avoid being alone with their thoughts. We've started treating reflection like it's a waste of time. If something cannot be processed quickly, it gets ignored. The result is that people react before they understand. They form opinions before they learn. They speak louder than they listen. The world now rewards those who move fast, not those who think deeply. Insight is replaced by impulsive responses dressed up as confidence. Imagine this. You see a headline online. Instead of reading the full story, you skim, react, and post your opinion within seconds. Thousands do the same, creating a storm of noise and judgment with no real understanding. That is what happens when reflection dies. True thinking is not fast or convenient. It is uncomfortable. It challenges your assumptions. It asks you to stop, to doubt, to observe. But that kind of slowness is rare now because we've equated speed with progress. The tragedy is that in racing ahead we often run in circles. The mind needs stillness to see clearly. Without it, we become a crowd that reacts to everything, yet understands nothing. Thinking is not slow, it is simply human. The world just forgot the value of moving at a human pace. Number 2. Social media has done something strange to the way people think. It turned opinions into identity. What you believe online is no longer just an idea. It's who you are. The moment you post a thought, it becomes a label you wear, and that label must be defended at all costs. Suddenly, changing your mind feels like betrayal. Admitting you were wrong feels like weakness. The space that once allowed growth now feels like a battlefield where everyone must stand their ground. Think about it. Someone tweets a political view, or a take on relationships, or even a comment about a movie. Within minutes, they are surrounded by others who think the same way, cheering them on. That feels good. It feels like belonging. But it's also the trap. The brain starts craving agreement instead of understanding. It starts chasing validation instead of truth. Soon, you are not thinking freely anymore. You are performing for approval. Inside these echo chambers, curiosity doesn't just fade, it dies. People no longer explore new ideas because new ideas feel dangerous. If your whole identity is built around one belief, Questioning it feels like tearing yourself apart. So people stay where it's safe, surrounded by the comfort of sameness. The tragedy is that genuine intelligence comes from the courage to change your mind. Growth requires friction. But social media teaches the opposite. It rewards certainty and punishes doubt. It makes people forget that an opinion is supposed to evolve as you learn. What was meant to connect us has made us more rigid, more defensive, and more afraid to think differently. The moment your belief becomes your identity, the door to real thinking quietly closes, and most people don't even notice when it happens. Number 3. Information overload creates mental laziness. We live in a time where information is everywhere, yet genuine understanding is becoming rare. Every second, new facts, opinions, and headlines flood our screens. You can learn about ancient philosophy, quantum physics, or celebrity gossip all in the same minute. It sounds like progress, but it has quietly made many people mentally lazy. When everything is instantly available, the mind stops holding on to anything. Why think deeply when you can just look it up later? Our grandparents had to search for knowledge. They read slowly, took notes, reflected, and remembered. That effort gave what they learned real weight. Today, people skim through 10 articles and remember none of them. The brain, overwhelmed by endless choices, stops digging deep. It has learned that information is always a few clicks away, so it no longer feels the need to truly understand. Think about how often you save a video to watch later, or bookmark an article you never return to. The illusion of access replaces real engagement. We feel informed, but we are not. We are collecting knowledge the way people collect souvenirs, just to display, not to use. This overload also kills curiosity. When answers come too easily, the mind loses its hunger to explore. The joy of discovery is replaced by the comfort of shortcuts. Knowledge becomes entertainment, not transformation. The problem isn't the amount of information, it's the lack of digestion. A full mind can still be an empty one if nothing ever sinks in. True intelligence is not about how much you can access, but how much you can absorb and apply. The internet has given us everything, yet in doing so, it has made many of us forget the beauty of earning an insight through patience, focus, and genuine thought. Number 4. Emotional reasoning replaced logical reasoning. We live in a time where feelings have quietly taken the throne once held by reason. People now decide what feels right instead of what is true. Logic used to guide decisions, now emotions do. And while feelings are human and important, they were never meant to be the ultimate judge of truth. When emotion rules, reality bends to comfort rather than clarity. You can see this everywhere. In conversations, people no longer ask, "Is this true?" They ask, "Does this offend me?" Disagreement feels like a personal attack. Facts that challenge someone's beliefs are dismissed as cruelty or hate. It's as if the emotional impact of a statement matters more than whether it's real. This shift has made truth feel inconvenient, especially when it doesn't fit the story we want to believe. Think about an argument between friends. One person presents evidence, but the other says, "I just feel like you're wrong." The discussion ends there. Feeling replaces thinking. The same pattern now happens online, in classrooms, even in politics. People choose sides based on emotional loyalty rather than logical understanding. The danger is that emotions, though powerful, change constantly. They rise and fall like waves. Truth does not. When we treat feelings as facts, we build our reality on sand. Real maturity means learning to hold emotions without letting them rule every thought. It means asking, what is actually true here, even if it makes me uncomfortable? Emotion without reason creates chaos. Reason without emotion creates coldness. Wisdom is the balance between the two. But right now the world seems addicted to outrage and comfort. It wants to feel right, not be right. And until we remember that truth survives even when it hurts, we will keep mistaking emotion for wisdom. Number 5. Education teaches obedience, not thinking. Education today often looks impressive from the outside: bright classrooms, endless exams, and well-polished certificates. Yet beneath the surface, something vital has gone missing. Schools have become factories that reward obedience more than curiosity. Students are trained to remember, not to understand. They learn to repeat the right answers, not to ask the right questions. The result is a society full of people who can follow instructions perfectly, but struggle to think independently. From an early age, children are told what to think, what to believe, and what success should look like. Questioning the teacher feels like rebellion. Failing a test feels like failure in life. Creativity is treated as distraction, and conformity is praised as discipline. The classroom, which should be a place of exploration, slowly becomes a stage for quiet submission. Think about it. How many students learn to pass exams they forget a week later? How many chase grades but never develop ideas of their own? Education was meant to awaken the mind, but now it often puts it to sleep. A student who asks why too many times is labeled difficult. A student who stays silent is called good. Real learning begins where obedience ends. The greatest minds in history were not the best students. They were the ones who refused to accept easy answers. They challenged the systems that trained them. Einstein once said he never let school interfere with his education. That statement still rings painfully true. An education system that values compliance over curiosity creates adults who follow rules blindly and fear original thought. If schools truly wanted to build thinkers, they would teach courage, the courage to question, to doubt, to imagine. Because knowledge without independent thought is just memorized noise dressed as intelligence. Number 6. Algorithms shape what people believe. Every time you open your phone, something invisible begins to guide what you see, think, and even believe. That invisible hand is the algorithm. It learns what you like, what angers you, what keeps you watching. Then it feeds you more of the same. It feels like you are choosing freely, but in truth, the machine is choosing for you. The algorithm does not care about truth or depth. Its only goal is to keep your attention, because your attention is money. Imagine walking into a library where the books rearrange themselves to match your taste. You love one idea, and suddenly every shelf is filled with it. The opposing view disappears. That is exactly what happens online. The algorithm keeps showing you what agrees with your emotions, not what challenges your mind. Slowly, your world becomes smaller while you feel more certain than ever. That certainty is dangerous because it is built on repetition, not understanding. This illusion of choice creates mental comfort, but kills intellectual freedom. People start to think they are informed, yet they are only being fed what keeps them emotionally engaged. The more you scroll, the less you explore. The machine rewards outrage, not reason, because outrage keeps you scrolling longer. Truth has become a casualty of convenience. Most people no longer search for information. They wait for it to find them. And what finds them is not the truth. It is the bait. The tragedy is that many never notice how controlled they've become. The more the algorithm learns, the less thinking we do. Real freedom now begins with the simple act of questioning what appears on your screen and asking yourself, who chose this for me and why? That question alone can break the spell. Number 7. Comfort killed curiosity. It sounds dramatic, but look around and you'll see it everywhere. People no longer wonder why things are the way they are. They just want things to work, to be easy, to be pleasant. When life feels comfortable, the mind stops searching. Curiosity is born out of discomfort. It grows when something feels missing, when you sense there's more to know, more to become. But in a world where everything is delivered instantly and effortlessly, the need to question has faded away. Think about it. When was the last time you sat in silence just to think, not to relax, but to explore an idea? Most people fill that space with entertainment. The moment boredom creeps in, they reach for their phone. Every ounce of unease is quickly numbed by convenience. And yet, curiosity lives in that unease. It begins with a tiny question that discomfort brings. The truth is that comfort feels safe, but it quietly weakens the mind. A curious person dares to look deeper, even when the answers are uncomfortable. But comfort trains you to stay where things feel predictable. You stop risking confusion, stop chasing mystery, stop growing. The brain, like a muscle, shrinks when it isn't challenged. Our ancestors were curious because survival demanded it. They had to explore, learn, and adapt. We no longer need to, so we don't. Comfort has made life easier, but also smaller. It replaced the hunger to understand with the desire to maintain ease. Real growth begins where comfort ends. When you question what feels normal, when you allow a bit of discomfort, the mind wakes up again. Curiosity isn't lost. It's just buried under layers of convenience, waiting for someone brave enough to miss being hungry for truth. Number 8. Fear of being wrong silences inquiry. Fear of being wrong has become one of the biggest killers of real thinking. In today's world, being wrong feels unforgivable. Every opinion is public, every mistake recorded, every word open to attack. People no longer speak to learn, they speak to protect their image. It is no longer about finding truth, but about appearing confident. And confidence without truth is just noise dressed as wisdom. Social media made this fear worse. One comment taken out of context can become a storm of ridicule. So people play it safe. They repeat what sounds popular, not what feels honest. They agree with the crowd, even when something deep inside them disagrees. Inquiry used to be an act of courage. Now it feels like a risk to your reputation. Think about a classroom or a meeting. The moment a teacher asks a difficult question, most people look down. No one wants to sound foolish. Yet those who dare to ask the stupid question often uncover what others silently wonder about. But now, silence has become a strategy for survival. Critical thinking demands vulnerability. It means admitting you don't know. And that humility is where real intelligence begins. But we've built a culture that prizes certainty over honesty. Everyone wants to sound right even when they have stopped exploring what is right. The result is a world full of strong opinions built on fragile understanding. The truth is, mistakes are not proof of stupidity. They are the doorway to wisdom. But that doorway stays locked when fear guards it. The day we stop caring about looking perfect is the day we start thinking clearly again. Because only those who risk being wrong ever find what's truly right. Number 9. Echo chambers give people the illusion of intelligence. Echo chambers are the softest prisons ever built. They feel safe, comforting, and familiar, but they quietly destroy growth. When you surround yourself only with people who agree with you, every conversation becomes a mirror reflecting your own thoughts back at you. It feels validating, even intelligent. You start to mistake agreement for understanding and comfort for truth. But in reality, you're not growing. You're just hearing yourself on repeat. Social media has made this illusion stronger than ever. Algorithms show you content that matches what you already believe. If you think a certain way about politics, relationships, or society, the machine will flood your feed with people who think the same. The more you scroll, the more you believe that everyone agrees with you. That is not wisdom. That is isolation dressed as confidence. Real intelligence is uncomfortable. It lives in the space between disagreement and discovery. When someone challenges you, they force you to think deeper, to refine your views, or sometimes even change them. But inside an echo chamber, that challenge never comes, and without friction, the mind grows dull. Think of it like working out. A muscle only strengthens through resistance. The mind is the same. If you never let your ideas be tested, they stay weak, no matter how confident you sound. The danger is that echo chambers breed arrogance. People become so sure of their beliefs that they no longer listen, only preach. And when everyone feels certain, no one learns. The illusion of intelligence is easy to maintain when you never face contradiction. But truth only reveals itself when your comfort is disturbed. If everyone around you always agrees, you might not be growing wiser. You might just be getting better at staying blind. Finally, the hardest prison to escape is the one you don't know you're in. What if the real danger today isn't ignorance, but comfort in half-truths? We live in a time when thinking deeply has become an act of rebellion. The world moves too fast for patience, too loud for reflection, and too proud for doubt. We are drowning in information, but starving for understanding. Everyone claims to know, but few actually think. Critical thinking is disappearing, not because people lack intelligence, but because they no longer see the need for it. The modern world rewards performance over depth, reaction over reflection, and confidence over clarity. It feels easier to belong to a crowd than to stand alone with uncertainty. But that comfort comes at a cost: the death of independent thought. Collective stupidity is not a lack of knowledge. It's the quiet surrender of curiosity. It happens when people stop questioning what they're told, when convenience replaces truth, when the crowd's opinion feels safer than one's own reasoning. Real intelligence begins with discomfort, the willingness to sit in confusion, to admit you might be wrong, to search for truth even when it costs you popularity. Thinking critically today is not just a skill, it's an act of courage. Because in a world that rewards obedience, the mind that dares to think freely is the last form of true rebellion. Thank you for watching.